Academy player here for 2 years. You look up to a lot of the first team guys, and to be able to play alongside them now, it means a lot. Hey guys, Aidan here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a Columbus Crew homegrown. I play midfield. I'm 18 years old. And in this video, I'm going to kind of give you guys a rundown of kind of how I've gotten to the position I am today and different obstacles and sacrifices I've had to make. So let's jump right into it. When I was 5 years old, I first started playing soccer. You know, it was kind of funny from that first year, I was scared to play in front of other people. I was scared to play in front of the other kids' parents, in front of my teammates. So I didn't play for that first year. I would just kick the ball around with my dad and my brother and train with them and play with them. So that was really interesting thinking about it now. And then from that point on, I was just playing just kind of park soccer, I guess, you know, for the first 2 years. So when I was 7, I moved over to play for Plantation FC, a local club in Florida. Plantation FC was just a local club, nothing fancy, just kind of a startup for me. It was awesome, you know. It kind of sparked and kept fueling my love and my passion and my fire for the game of soccer. So I was there for 2 years, I believe. After that, I ended up moving over to a club in Coral Springs, which was a little bit more professional. It was ran by a guy named Roger Thomas. He was a great coach, and he taught me a lot about what I know today, you know. And also, I give a lot of credit to my dad. Back to kind of the plantation days, we'd practice 2 times a day, which I think about now is kind of crazy. But there was other days of the week, my dad would take my brother and I out to train and just work on technical stuff. It was a new thing for him. It was a new passion. So he would stay up late at night, you know, just watching videos, just watching soccer videos, a lot of Dutch videos, working on technical stuff, just footwork stuff, dribbling, all that stuff. So we go out for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, you know, most days of the week, and just work on stuff. And you know, I wouldn't be the position I am today if it weren't for those kind of long nights at the local park. So then back to SAT, run by Roger Thomas. It was awesome. You know, he taught me little detailed things that all professional players use today, especially me. Just like simple things like checking your shoulder, directional touches, and a lot of these things my dad told me as well. So having Roger and my dad there for me on a daily basis is something that was awesome. You know, having accessible for me was kind of a feature and that I'm very grateful for, and I forever will be. I wish I could go back to those days, and you know, some of those days that I remember most clearly was futsal Fridays. So I think of futsal, and I wanted to talk about it in this video, was futsal is such an important kind of tool for just young kids, especially just all kids, you know, just playing. It's just, you know, you look at South America and Brazil especially, all those kids play futsal every single day of the week, you know, because you get the most touches in it, and you're just having a fun time. And it's a bit more casual, which I kind of enjoy. It brings a lot more laughter and joy out of it, which you don't want to be playing soccer if you're mad all the time. That was something I remember very clearly from those days, and I miss a lot. I think kind of America should implement it more into kind of soccer, just futsal more often, you know. It's such a great way to get better, you know, making mistakes and learn from those mistakes, just repetition, so much repetition. And then from SAT, I moved on to playing for a local club, Weston. So, that was talking about my first sacrifice. My family and I kind of had mostly my parents, was just the long drives, late at night. So I would go from school at 3:15, and after that I would finish school at 3:15 and head home, eat something, and head out to practice. I had to be there at 5 for my brother's training. So I'd be sitting in the car doing homework till my brother finished training, and it was my turn. So I get back around like 9:30 at night, which is tough, saying that I had school the next morning. But, it was a different sacrifice my mom and my dad had to make, working 5 days of the week, sometimes 6. It's difficult for them to be working those whole days and having to drive 45 minutes out to a soccer field and then stay there for the rest of the night. But, those are the sacrifices I know a lot of families make nowadays. And, for kids growing up, you have to be really grateful and acknowledge them. Let them know that they're doing a great job. Let them know that you really appreciate it. So I went through that stage, and a different obstacle that came with that was me being an SAT and making that jump to kind of a rival club, I guess, was something that was difficult for me. It's difficult for a lot of kids, going into kind of a club that you're unfamiliar with who the kids are, You only play against them. You're like, oh, these kids must not like me. So that was something I kind of dealt with as well, which was difficult for the most part, But I just kept my head down and kept working hard, and that's what the coaches and my teammates saw as well. So you can't turn down a hard worker, and So I ended up being at Weston FC for 2.5, 3 years. But what was so attractive about Weston FC was the fact that U.S. Soccer and the MLS kind of just created an academy system, which was amazing. Competition was just up here. The standard of the competition was just high all the time. Just constantly you're getting competitive games, talented players all around your little division, which is awesome, especially for kids growing up. Having competition, having quality players you're playing with and also playing against on a daily basis is something that is awesome, and something that is there for a lot of kids now growing up. So playing, that was very attractive for my family, the academy system. So playing in that for 3 years at Weston FC, it was difficult. For my last year at Weston FC, for the whole entire time before, I was a starter, but then I started playing up in age groups. So I was playing with older kids who were a lot stronger and faster than me. So I had to work on the mental side of my game, just being quicker, knowing where I'm going to play before I get the ball. That was really important to me, and something that's helped me a lot even today. Just never relying on my body, and the body comes, your physical attributes come. But when you're smaller, I was always the smallest one on the field, so you rely more on just playing quick, being smarter than the stronger and faster players out there. So that was important for me for my development, and also kind of my growth as a soccer player. So when I did develop those different physical attributes, I was able to kind of put them together and find that perfect balance. So back to kind of the Weston FC. So I wasn't starting the last year, and it was a different feeling for me, not starting and not really. So there was kids getting called to national team camps as well, who I was playing with, who I played alongside with, and I was like, all right, like I feel like I'm better than these kids, but they're getting these opportunities to kind of represent the country, I guess. And it was frustrating for me. It kind of fueled my fire, I guess. I kind of turned it into a positive way. My dad and my mom were awesome in that way, being there for me for those times and encouraging me, just keep working hard, and it'll come one day. And so through that whole year, I actually finished up with like a 16.7 starting percentage, which was difficult for me, the mental side of everything. But it all worked out, because at the end of the year, I had a really good game one time. I subbed in, I scored a goal, and I was playing really well. And I got called to a national team camp in France, which was awesome. It was an amazing experience playing against Belgium, Japan, and Mexico and Brazil. I started the first 3 games, didn't start the game against Brazil, but it was an amazing experience playing against players for different countries and different nations. And when you're out there representing your nation, it means a little bit more, I guess. It's awesome, and I'm sure I took something away from that trip. Just playing against kids with that much talent and seeing like how like they're kind of they look at the game just a little bit differently, which is kind of, it's cool to see. And you take something, you take a little bit from that, and you kind of implement it to your game a little bit. So being there and then coming back to Weston, I was excited. I was like, maybe I'll start starting now, because I had the experience and I played well there. But it didn't change anything, which is upsetting for me. But I just kept my head down, like my dad always told me, just keep working, focus on you and you only. because that's the only thing you're in control of. So I did that, and I ended up getting called back to another national camp in Japan to represent the U16 national team, which is another amazing experience. The culture there was amazing, and getting to play Japan in Japan was awesome. Scoring a goal against them and hearing the crowd go silent was a feeling I'll never forget, and I still think about it now. And so that was awesome. Playing against like Netherlands as well, playing against New Guinea, and just taking something, like I said before, taking a little bit of something from each team and each player I play against, each midfielder I play against. So yeah. And then from that point on, I came back to Weston, and I did earn a starting spot, but it was off and on. But I felt like something a little bit changed, so that was awesome. I ended up starting in one of the showcase games, where a Columbus Crew scout named Dennis Sanchez, he was interested, and he wanted me to come and play for the Columbus Crew Academy. And at that time, I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm a Florida boy, so living in Columbus didn't really seem that appealing to me. But I figured that a visit wouldn't hurt anything, so I went out there and visited, and initially I fell in love with the culture, the tradition, the family, just the kids, the way they ran their program, the professionalism they had was just unique and different from what I felt I saw in other MLS academies. So I knew it was kind of meant to happen. So I decided to move to Columbus, Ohio. And a little side note, my brother moved to kind of figure, like he kind of paved the pathway for me when it come to moving to a different MLS academy. So he moved to Seattle Sounders from Weston FC when he was 16. So it kind of gave me a little bit of a foundation to kind of build off of and kind of learn from him and the mistakes and kind of the good things he did as well, So I moved to Columbus, and then moving into a host family who was awesome. So I've lived with them for the last kind of 2.5 years. So they basically kind of taken me under the wings and kind of treated me like a son, which I'm forever grateful for. And kind of I wouldn't be in the situation I am now if it weren't for them. Being able to come home and having a family environment is so important for especially a young kid like me when I was 16 to move away from home. And that's a different sacrifice I had to take, and not be able to wake up in the morning and have my mom's homemade cooking, or be able to spend time with mom, be able to watch soccer games with my dad. It was something you sacrifice, and in the long run it did work out. But it's time away from your family that is so precious, but you have to make the sacrifice. And I was so grateful that my parents were so open to it, and they're supportive of it, as I knew they would be. But yeah, it's very comforting knowing that they'll always be there for whatever decision I make in life, especially soccer. So that was awesome. And MLS Academy was different. It was ran differently than an academy down in Florida. It wasn't didn't have any kind of professional side to it. So it was different. It's more of a tactical game. It's more of having a philosophy and being able to execute it and just knowing your role in the field. But that was something I learned, and it was kind of an obstacle I kind of went through. Going from team to team, each team's run differently. And each team has different coaches. Each team has different players. You communicate to your coaches. You communicate to these different players differently. So that was kind of a unique thing I learned when coming here. But like I said, I always felt I was always in love with kind of how they ran things here. So I was always bought in. I was always trusting the process. So yeah, I ended up playing here for 3 years in the academy. So I played for the U16 the first half of the season. And my buddy I was actually playing up, who's the same age as me. And that, like I said, that fueled my fire. So I was like, all right, that's where I need to be. That's the level I need to be at, and beyond that as well. I need to be getting called to the first team. But it was all going to come in time, and I just need to keep my head down, like I've said before, and just keep working. And that's what happened. When you see your teammate get called into the first team, it is frustrating. But it kind of gives you something to look for. It puts a little fire under your butt. It just keeps you going. So I got called to the first team, which is kind of every MLS Academy kid's dream. Getting called to the first team. Possibly signing a homegrown. It's all things they go to bed at night and they're like, all right, that's where I want to be when I get there. So, that was awesome. I had that opportunity, and so it was the first time I went, and it was an experience I'll never forget. Being around professionals and the way they take care of themselves, the way they really focus on every single detail of the game. It's so interesting, and still is interesting to me today. And I try to be a sponge every single time, even though I'm a pro now and I'm in with all these guys. You're just always a sponge. You're just always learning from them. So I finished my year at the Academy. We ended up finishing third in the DA playoffs, which is a great run for Columbus Crew. Kind of put the Columbus Crew Academy on the map, which was awesome, and I was glad I was a part of that. And then from that point on, I played another year with the Academy. And at the beginning of the year, I had a stress fracture in my ankle, which kept me out for 4 to 5 months. And that was tough for me, emotionally being down all the time and going out to practice and seeing my teammates run back and forth and working hard and not knowing that I can't get out there and help them. Well, it was tough for me. But I knew it was a time to kind of focus on something different. I couldn't really get better on the soccer field, but I could help my school, And growing up, I really didn't pay that much attention to my school, I decided to graduate a year early from high school. So I did 13 classes in 1 year. So I figured with all this time out of my injury, I could kind of get ahead of school, and focus more on that and kind of speed up my soccer career, I guess. So that opened the window after my Academy season to head to Indiana a year early. So I committed to Indiana Hoosiers, which was something I'll never regret. It was similar to Columbus. I went there to visit, and it was just felt like a unique situation, unique family, unique tradition. It felt like that's where I needed to be, similar to Columbus. So I immediately kind of committed to them and went there first semester. I played really well there. We won a couple things. We won the Big Ten regular season and then the Big Ten championship. So we got knocked down in the NCAA tournament, which was tough. And I was acknowledged with the Big Ten Freshman of the Year and also just Freshman of the Year in college soccer, which was amazing, and All-American. So that was awesome. And IU, I can't thank them enough. They kind of gave me everything I need to kind of send me into the next steps of my kind of career. So after that, I ended up becoming a professional soccer player for Columbus Crew as a homegrown, which I can't even explain kind of in words how important it was for me, how it means so much to me, not only me, but my family. So I worked so long for it. And it was finally there. It was weird, for me. Going to the locker room and seeing my name up above my locker was something that was special, something that I'll never forget. And knowing that it's all paid off, sort of. But, I'm not saying that I'm satisfied where I'm at now. I'm not at all. Always looking to improve, always looking to get better. But yeah, so I went through my first preseason early this year, which was awesome. Just being a sponge, taking it all in, learning from guys like Darlington Nagby on a daily basis is awesome. Just taking in every single detail of their game, and then implementing into my game, and the speed of play and all of it. So yeah, so that's basically a rundown of my soccer career and my life, I guess, because soccer has been my life ever since the age of 5, and there's been a lot of steps I've had to take, a lot of obstacles I've had to overcome, but I want to say I'm forever grateful for my family and all the sacrifices they've had to make. And I hope you guys enjoy, and also give a big like and subscribe to William's channel. And thanks guys, appreciate it.